Hi guys, and welcome to the second convention and studio vlog where I'll be walking you through my steps and how I got through Kids Comic Con. Yeah, so I had the immense pleasure of being a tabling artist at my first indoor convention at Kids Comic Con. This is the 17th annual convention hosted by Alex Simmons, an advocator for kids and children's education, as well as a man who's done so much in the realm of comics, playwriting, and entertainment. So I was really happy to be able to reach out, get in contact with him, cross wires, and get into this convention. I believe the 16th and maybe the 15th annual Kids Comic Con event was virtually online due to, obviously, the pandemic. So this is the first time this year in 2022 that they've been back in person, and this is in 2022 not only my third convention ever, but my first indoor convention period. And this wonderful event took place in the Bronx Community College, way up in Tremont, I believe, and it took place in this really nice open hall space that they have on campus. It was really gorgeous, and wow, this convention really taught me a lot about myself and the direction that I'd like to take artist alleying, tabling. So for today's video, I want to be a bit different than my first video, and I'd like to be more interactive. So I'm going to be breaking this video down into different sections. So essentially the sections that's going to be covered today is stickers, jewel cases, censorship in comics, and reading activities for children at Kids Comic Con with language. And yeah, let's just jump right into it.
So essentially what you see before you guys on this big old coffee table is a sea of Magna AX stickers. Whew. I'm proud of these stickers because I made them all by hand, and because I'm just learning how to do this, and this is just my third convention, I'm just basically taking it day by day, figuring out what I can do by hand and what I should move over to orders. And stickers are definitely something that I'm thinking about moving on to orders for a little bit more quality, and just to save me more time to make other merch, as well as invest more into my drawing and the comic series itself. I think what made these stickers particularly challenging to make is that each sticker has its own designed shape, and when you're sitting there and you're cutting like characters in like 4 and 6 on an 8.5 by 11 page, you're just cutting up all the edges and the corners, making sure it looks as cohesive as possible and professional as possible. And of course you're going to make mistakes along the way, so I did, so I'd have to end up printing even more stickers and making sure they looked good and getting them all to look as cohesive as possible. Another thing is that each sticker pack has 3 in 1, because I wanted to make like a cool Magna AX emote pack where you have like the chibi of the main character. Like for example, in my hand is Satoshi, and right now you can't really fully see it, but there's like Sato, and then behind him is his nameplate that says Satoshi Inamata, and it has like the sky and it's blue in the background because Sato, a lot of the time that I draw him or he's in the comic, he's associated with like the sky and the clouds and the air and stuff like that. And then back of Sato is like a funny emotion or emote, essentially like a Twitch emote or something like that, that's actually straight from the manga. And I did that for every character. So I have like Tatsuka here, I have Hanasu here, and I have the new sticker that was so popular at Brooklyn Anime Con was Sylvestria August, Black Girl Magic, and I love drawing Sylvestria. And so basically I had to do all of that over 120 times. So the next thing that you're looking at here is the display case for the stickers for Magna AX. You can see in detail what I meant about each character having a specific sticker. So like the chibi, the nameplate, and the emoji, which is basically a scene from the manga. And I think it captures each character's personality pretty well. I'm very happy with it. I'm so happy that I had this frame laying around with like the corkboard background still unused and stuff like that, because that's the theme of this table, just taking some stuff that I have, saving some money, and trying to make something as cool as possible with the resources that I have, since I'm still just starting out. I want to take this step by step, and I'm really proud that I'm taking this step by step. Oh boy, I am super excited to talk about this part. I'm going to try not to go a mile a minute, but what you're looking at is basically a love letter to everything that I love, just like Magna AX itself, the comic is. This is as well. It means so much to me, and I didn't know how much it meant to me until I actually sat there, let it come to me, and actually execute and create it. You're looking at the Magna AX Character Edition Volume 1 Jewel Case card set. And they look like this specifically because I love JRPGs. I grew up playing PlayStation 1 games, Sega Genesis, Sega Dreamcast games, you name it. This jewel case is a love letter to those old school classic JRPG games. So when we get to the uncasing of the case, uncasing of the case, oh Manny. But anyway, when we get to the uncasing of the case, right away you're going to be greeted with the Magna AX business card, front and back, with information about me, as well as a welcome to the world of Magna AX note card that furthers all the social media handles that you can find, as well as a cute little mini Sato on it as well. Removing that, we get straight into the content of the jewel case. Upon first glance, you pull out a card, and it is a Magna AX special character card, which has a image of a character. For in this case, it's Satoshi Inamada, one of the titular characters of the series, main character. A boy with wondrous abilities, but doesn't quite use aura, which is like a world system building power in the series. You'll have his name, a close-up of him, and then on the back you have now loading, like it's a now loading screen, as well as a silhouette of Satoshi and a very light opacity silhouette of Satoshi in the background as well. And this whole thing is giving me Final Fantasy old school logo mixed with like modern Tales of logo, because I know that the Tales of series has recently started using silhouettes in their logos, which is not bad, you know, it's pretty cool. And then when you pick up this card, which is also double-sided, oh, these are so cool. I'm so glad that I made these. I was so excited. These are stat menu cards. So if you've ever played a JRPG game or any game that pretty much has a menu where you can learn a little bit about the characters, see their HP and stuff like that, this is exactly that. So you'll have the character's age, gender, if they're an aura user, weapon and abilities, a signature art, and a job class like Final Fantasy in a sense. And then below that you'll see a little brief bio about them. And then when you flip it to the back, it says Great Story Magna AX stat menu, which is pretty cool. Each of these character cards come that way. So here's Hanasu's front and back, now loading, Great Story Magna AX. And then here's Hanasu's stat card, front and back. And then here's Tasaka Tempa's card, front and back. And what's cool about each of these cards is that each card background is very specific to the character. Censoring Magna AX has been one of the more interesting ways I've gone back to re-edit this series, especially with Volume 1, because I'm faced with the challenge of changing up certain scenes and dialogue while still carrying on the message of the episode or the chapter or the overall story. I'm really fortunate not to think super adult with Magna AX in terms of its creation, so there's nothing like wild about it. Like there's no like sex scenes, or there's no like super hyper violent action violence, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that way in terms of the story, but there are certain things I do feel like I have to censor a little bit for the younger audience, just for the parents, you know. Like for example, right here, this is one of the intro pages at Magna AX when we meet Hanasu Nadena. As you can see, she's tastefully nude, and she's floating in space, and she's enveloped by stars and galaxy, and she's thinking and talking about her voice and her connection to the voice to the universe through her dreams. I feel like maybe that's too much, so I decided on the side over here to put a nightgown on her, which is totally fine because it's coherent with the next couple of pages when she wakes up in a nightgown, so I had no worry about that.
But it's just very interesting looking at them side by side, how subtle censorship works. And now that I'm doing it, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of an insider view to like localization for JRPG games. Yeah, so looking at these two, it was like, wow, look at that. This scene here with Sato and Hana in the dream sequence, as it's like talking about the legacy or prophecy of a hero and a maiden, in a sense, a champion and a maiden. Hana is still kind of nude in this sense, but everything is transparent and see-through. And I decided to censor that too. So the nightgown is on Hanasu as well in this scene for the Kids Comic-Con version, the localization version. Other small things I would like go back and censor, like Hana like dressing up after waking up and brushing her teeth. There's a censor here. I felt like there wasn't too much to censor, but I felt like the boob curve was a little bit too much maybe for the little kids. I didn't mind that stuff growing up. I didn't really think too much about it, and if I did, I'm a kid. Yeah, but like it wasn't drawn with that intent in a sense. And if it was probably because my brain was on autopilot, referencing a lot of what I pulled from before I got older and was like, what is the type of story and how do I want to display this series before changes are made, you know? So, if there's one thing that's more consistent than the branding of Satoshi falling in a blue sky in Magna AX, it's the language that accompanies just about every piece of Magna AX merchandise and every piece of Magna AX artwork. So if you look at the jewel cases, you'll see the language on it. If you look at the chapter and stage covers, you'll see the language on it. If you look at the newly made Magna AX banner, there's language on it. If you look at fun things like this very cool Magna AX skateboard, there is language on it. And the reason for that is I want you all, people that are interested in Magna AX, to get familiar with the mysterious language because it plays a big part in the world of Magna AX. So essentially, without giving too much away, is the language is called Iridian, and it is a lost and forgotten language to the mortal tongue across the entire galaxy and universe. No one knows how to speak it anymore. It's said to be an ancient language of the goddess, that the goddess Iridia, mother of all things, mother of the Etherverse, which is just the Cosmos and Magna AX series, used to create the world and all the worlds in the universe. It's a powerful, powerful art, and it can only be sung. There is no real vocal, oral language system to it. So I thought that was interesting to make, and when coming up with it, I've just always loved languages, and that stuff was just really attracted to me as a kid, you know, like Cleon from Star Trek, specifically like the Celestian language from Tales of Eternia / Tales of Destiny 2 for the localized version in America. I was like, what are you doing? Is this real? What? It was so cool. And I knew right then and there that I wanted to make my own. Then, you know, The Legend of Zelda I came across, and there was Hylian and all this interesting stuff. And I was like, damn, how do I make a language of my own that feels so unique? And I thought, wow, it'd be really cool to create a language that can't really be spoken, but can be observed and that can be felt, you know? And the main character of the series, Hanasu, along with Satoshi, Hana has the ability to actually sing these hymns. They're mysterious to her, which is why previously I showed you that dream sequence, because she often dreams about her songs, and she dreams about the stars in the universe as well. And she dreams about people that she's not met yet, Satoshi. And I think that's just so awesome. So her voice is a big key in moving story factor in Magna AX, because her voice has the ability to perform all sorts of miracles after she meets Sato. There's a whole written language for it, and although it cannot be spoken because it can only be sung, it can be written and used as a source of code. And that's where here in the real world comes in play.
I created a cool way that people can actually read it and write it. And I want to share that with the world. And specifically, I want to share it and debut it at Kids Comic Con.
Yeah, we just finished setting up. I'm with my lovely fiance, who definitely helped make this look really, really nice. Yeah, woke up at 6, got on the train by 7:40, and we're here. So we're gonna let the day start and see how everything goes.
It's about everywhere, and the main character, Hanase, one of the characters, she actually sings this language here, and I have a couple of things going on that you can translate it, you can do pre-print once
Where can these people get to know? People need to know. Okay, so if you like JRPG, Shonen Jump style storytelling, Final Fantasy, Tales of storytelling, a little bit action, a little bit of romance, drama, emotion, you gotta go to magnax.com, and there you can read the 6 chapters that are up. There's locations, character bios, there's a whole ton of lore, as well as language that you can read. You can find me at MannyK714 on Instagram, and you can find me on Behance, my professional artist portfolio with illustrations on behance.net/Manny714. Thank you, Mr. Manny. We're at Kids Comic Con. We have these great artists coming out, showing up, displaying what they have to do.
So yeah, that was my experience at the 17th annual Kids Comic Con. I didn't even know that they were going to do like interviews, so I was so excited, and they were like, yeah, get the scroll, get the jewel case, get the comic, let's talk about it. And I felt like my choice to bring the easels with me really paid out, because I got to prop up chapter 1, or I think it was the print. I think I got to prop up the print of chapter 1, and I really enjoyed that. At the previous convention, I sold some comics. Actually, I sold out so many comics that I only had 1 comic left, and that happened again at Kids Comic Con. I ended up selling quite a few chapter 1 and chapter 2s, and I only had like a couple of chapter 1s left and like one chapter 2 left because I did like a shorter print run of chapter 2 for whatever reason. I think I ran out of ink or something like that. I ran out of black ink, but it was just such a joy to be able to be there with all those other creatives, and it was just such a joy to like see kids interact with Magna AX in ways that I interacted with the medium as a kid. So it just felt so full circle. The Iridian Mysterious Language scroll and translation game was a hit with kids and adults alike. People would come up to the table and be like, "You made that language? Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you want to take a crack at translating it, you can get a free sticker." And they did, and they had such a good time, and like they would either take their time and be like, "Oh, this is hard," or some kids would just be like, "That's A, that's B, that's C, that's this word, that's that word," and I'd be like, "How are they picking this up so fast?" Even me, who created a language, even I'm like, "What's that say again?" But it was just a wild experience because I'm still getting used to it, and all the kudos and all the props in the world to my lovely fiance Abigail Savageulu for coming with me, helping me set up, going to get us lunch, because when it comes to conventioning, you're sitting there all day and you can have breaks and stuff, and I don't like to like get up and move from the table. I found that every time I did move around from the table, someone would like come up to the table and like ask for more information, or like want to know more about the book, or want to know more about the motion comic, and want to know more about the language. So you talk up a lot of energy, and it's a mixture between standing and sitting and talking and projecting because everybody's wearing masks. So you have to really project your voice forward, and you get hungry. So shout out to my darling for getting us some really good food. Some takeaways from the event is I didn't even have to censor Magna AX, because a lot of the kids who are watching anime now, and it's just so similar yet really different than the timeline when I was a kid. I'm 30, by the way. When I was like younger, 8 years old, 9, 10, when, you know, the dawn of anime started popping up in like 2001 with like Yu Yu Hakusho, Tenchi Muyo, Rurouni Kenshin, the stuff that was on Adult Swim, the stuff that was on the Anime Network in the 2000s if you had Optimum on demand. Yeah, these kids are just watching everything now. They're watching My Hero Academia, they're watching Chainsaw Man, they're watching Demon Slayer, they're watching Attack on Titan. This one like family was like, "Yeah, I watch this show with my kids all the time. Our favorite show is What's It Sweetie, What's It Sweetie?" And the kid was like, "Attack on Titan." And I was like, all that time, me editing a nightgown on Hanasu was for nothing if they can watch people literally get their heads eaten off, or they can like watch Mineta be an absolute pervert all over My Hero Academia with all the fan service in the world that show has. But at the same time, it's really relieving because after having conversations with the parents about the type of story Magna AX is, they were like just totally okay with it. So I think moving forward, I won't need to have the localized version anymore unless there's like really young kids that vibe with Magna, which there were some really young kids that vibe with Magna. But I think I'm just gonna move forward with what I have because I never outlandishly wanted Magna AX to be overly adult or overly complex or anything like that. As this being my third convention, building up was definitely the way to go, and I'm glad that the presentation has evolved from what it was at the first two conventions, which was Geek Out at Staten Island Con and Brooklyn Anime Con. And I'm just happy to be rapidly learning as much as I can and building on top of that. The setup that I had this time around, I liked the banner, my makeshift banner, and I liked the cubes. I'm still getting used to the cubes. I'm not a fan of wired cubes design-wise. I know that they can hold more like stickers and clips and stuff like that, but I don't have much to display that requires hooking like that. And the black cubes that I had for this event was originally a shelving unit for my clothes in my house. So I was grateful that I had them, but I just felt like they were really jarring with the white design of the prints, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think in a future video series, I will talk about my experiences with the conventions as they come out, but this is more so just a walkthrough of my adventure into conventioning. So with that being said, I'm going to stop this video here, and I can't wait to talk about my 4th convention ever, which is ChemFest, which will be my 2nd indoor convention, as well as my first 2-day convention, like an actual Comic-Con, and what my experiences are there. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again in the future if this video served well or some kind of entertainment.